Hello everybody, this is Margaret. Thanks for coming by my channel. You're on BookTube, and this is the last time you will have this little setup to delight your een, because I'm going on a long trip to visit my parents and I will have a different backdrop, just like last Christmas. So I wanted to get this one done because I have some physical books to hold up for this tag rather than the electronic, which I will have to do when I'm in California and away from 90% of my beloved books. So, I am going to do the Accomplished Woman book tag. This was originated by Charlotte at Coiny Reads, and I was tagged by Brian at Bookish, and this is so exciting. I love this tag. I love the idea so much. Basically, it's taking the quote from Pride and Prejudice, where someone out of spite is saying a real woman, an accomplished woman, needs to be all these things and sort of reflecting them on herself, and it's just impossible. It's like practically perfect in every way. And so a lot has been said about this, but Charlotte turned this into a tag to determine if you, dear reader, or viewer, or me, dear creator, are an accomplished woman, in fact, by going through all of those things that Miss Bingley enumerates as necessary. And I thought about this recently. I thought I'd just make a side note. I make notes, and instead of going back online, since I try to limit the time that I'm online, I write notes of the tag prompts, and I do it shorthand, not real shorthand, just like my shorthand. And so it may not exactly match up with what is in the prompt, but this is kind of like telephone because book tags get evolved and the meaning changes as it hops from person to person. So hopefully it's not too far removed from the original intent. But there we go. So, prompt number 1, music. Your favorite literary musician. I had to think long and hard about this one, so that I think gives me a strike already. But I'm going to go straight back to Jane Austen and say Marianne Dashwood because she's so in love with the piano. I know so few musicians in literature that I am drawn to, but the adaptation, actually, Emma Thompson wrote and Ang Lee directed with Kate Winslet as Marianne Dashwood, gives her a few particular moments of pathos with the piano, and so that's the best fit I could find for this prompt. Okay. Prompt number 2, singing. They want a poetry rec. Okay, so I sort of went unusual with this one, and my recommendation for poetry, or if you're a reader like me and you can taste, if you can trust my tastes, I would say The Holy Wild by Daniel Dulski. So this is a book about sort of women finding, it's called A Heathen Bible for the Untamed Woman, and it's basically don't stick yourself in all the conforming ruts of society, like all those ways that you feel constricted. Train yourself out of them, train yourself to think differently, and like be wild and like think about things in a different way. And I loved this. It's not a poetry book, but she has passages where she slots in poetry, like at the beginning of different sections, or as like a ritual, kind of like a prayer. And I found those to be so innovative in their language and their rawness that I thought this was like, for someone who doesn't connect with a lot of poetry, like I really connected to this. So there you go, Danielle Dulski. Prompt number 3, dancing. A beautiful cover. And you'll have to forgive me for this one because I haven't read it yet, but as soon as I have another historical fiction readathon or something, I'll put it on my list. The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock. It's just so pretty. I don't know. I think it's because it's imitating cloth and gold thread in a way that just like shimmers and shines. Someone did a really great job on designing this cover, so just want to point that out. And like I said, I haven't read it yet, but I've heard great things. Historical mystery fantasy. I don't know. The plot leaves it open to many different subgenres, so I'm very intrigued with this one. Prompt number 4, dancing. Oh, I may have said that wrong. Prompt number 3 is drawing. beautiful cover. That makes more sense. Prompt number 4 is dancing, a lively plot. And for this one, I'm going to go with Stephanie Barron, one of my favorite authors. She has a Jane Austen mysteries series, and this is Jane and His Lordship's Legacy. And I think this is the 5th one. It doesn't say, and I don't want to look it up. But I have many to catch up on. I think I have like 7 or 8 more in the series before we get to the next one, which I just saw on Instagram is going to be out next summer. So that's very exciting. And it also coincides with the Year Without a Summer stuff, so I'm very excited to see what she did with this. This is actually Francine Stephanie Barron Matthews. She uses 2 pen names, one for her like spy novels and one for her historical fiction that are like romancy. So yes, historical mystery, I should say. Yeah. She definitely answers for lively plot. There's lots of things going on, but not in a, oh, look what just happened. Oh, like everything's happening at once and oh so conveniently for the plot. Like it really feels like we have enough of Jane in her normal life coping with that stuff mixed in with things going on in the world, political intrigue, like society, like all these different elements that she winds together so beautifully. So I love the plots of Stephanie Barron novels. Recommend those. Prompt number 5, modern languages. Your favorite translated fiction. So I didn't have too many to choose from here, but I went for one that has stuck in my mind for 20 years, which is a pretty good sign of a book. And it, the phrase that I will never forget from this book is cloué sur place, which means nailed in place. And I won't tell you when that comes up, but this is Limbo or Lamb by Nancy Huston. And it's a very small book. And it says a homage to Samuel Beckett. So it's a very experimental style. We read this in, I think, either the translation class or the theater class that I had when I was studying abroad in Paris. And we just really went into the textual interpretations in a fun way. And she has a very active style, a very rhythmic style, a very playful with language style. And so this has stuck with me, and I remember really loving it. This is why I still have it, even though it's small, 20 years later. So there you go. Prompt number 6, an air and manner of walking. There we go. So this is supposed to point to a book with atmosphere. Ooh, okay. And for this one, I recently reread this book because I couldn't remember anything about it. And like 5 years later, 6 years after the first time I read it, and I could tell because it's an ARC that I won in a contest, and it says on sale 2015. So I have a date for this one's reading. This is Laurie King, one of my other favorite mystery authors, and the title is Dreaming Spies, a novel of suspense featuring Mary Russell and Sherlock Holmes. And it's pretty big. It's bigger than a regular book. But it's Sherlock Holmes with a sidekick and updated a little bit. And one of the things I love about Laurie King is that she encompasses so much more than the regular setting. This one takes Sherlock Holmes and his companion to Japan, and there's, again, political intrigue, like survival skills with detective flair, and a little bit of cultural research, not too much, but you can tell the author did a lot more than is put in the book because it's suffused. And so the atmosphere and the fears and the differences that are highlighted between the Westerners and the Japanese characters was really well done. There's also, thrilling plot twists and action scenes and stuff. So she's just great. This is like 17th in the series. So this is also a big series. If you like historical mysteries, I would encourage you to start. The first one is called Beekeeper's Apprentice, and I'm sure I recommended that one before. So yeah, atmosphere. Prompt number 7, tone and address. So this prompt is about beautiful writing. And I don't have this one because I read it from the library, but I'm going to recommend The Weight of Ink by Rachel Kadish. The beautiful writing there is... Okay, it's varied, right? So some of the beautiful writing I remember, and this is like a year ago, is the internal conversation with self that the characters have. She does a really great job of pointing to inner conflicts and sort of emotional battles inside, but also interactions between characters, setting like dialogue, especially in the modern timeline. There's 2 timelines, and like just little moments where she doesn't say too much or explain it too much, and that just makes it beautiful to me. So I would definitely recommend that one. Prompt number 8 is extensive reading, which is, of course, is Mr. Darcy's appendix to Miss Bingley's list, and that is asking for your next read. But I don't know, I'm sort of in a bunch of books at once, so I'm not sure what to say for this. I'm currently reading Luminaries, and so I'll just give 2. The 2 that I hope to finish before the end of May for Asian Reads is The Woman Warrior by Maxine Hong Kingston, and the one that I've got a little bit into is If Walls Could Talk by Worsley, which I'm reading for Buzzwordathon, because this is about an intimate history of the home. It's in the subtitle. And house or home is the quote word for Buzzwordathon for May. Yeah. So then the last thing you're supposed to do is, I guess, give yourself a verdict if you're an accomplished woman or not, according to Miss Bingley. I mean, I'm going to say yes. Reading-wise, except for that first music question. Side tangent, music just seems like a language that doesn't land, like it's a UV ray or something that gets bounced off of me, because outside of singing, I really don't access the intensity of emotion that people tend to do or seem to do in music. So talking about musicians, there's been a few famous musician books, especially like the 60s and the 80s and 90s musicians in the past few years, and I'm just like, I don't know. Do I know musicians? Do I know people who are musicians in secret, and like I've just never talked about this with them? Perhaps. All right. So thank you, Brian. This was really fun. I'd like to tag Amrita by the book, Marilyn Maya Mendoza, at her Baby Boomer BookTube channel, JD Estrada, because I think we need a man's opinion on this, and he never does tags, but this might get him in the game. Lamp in the Library, another man's opinion. Let's go for Sandy Golston and see if he wants to do this tag. It's from Jane Austen, but these can really work for any genre, so let's tear it up and see the thriller and horror side. And a musical bookworm. So there we go, 6. I'm really like, I love this tag so much, I want to tag so many people. So there we go. Check out Charlotte's channel, check out Brian's channel, and I encourage you to check out all the ones that I tagged. Anyway, back to packing. See y'all later. Thanks for watching. Did I say what the book was? The adaptation of Sense and Sensibility. Emma. Oh my gosh. Bingley is the director, and Kate Winslet. I'm just forgetting every actor's name ever. In which Marianne. Ooh, start over.